Hi everyone, my name is Quentin Aubry and I'm a French architect and engineer born and raised in Nantes.
And my name is Zeger Dalenberg, a landscape architect born in the Netherlands and taught in Edinburgh, Scotland.
We have both worked all over Europe before setting our roots in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. We now worked on international projects in two established firms.
Aside of our professional career, our collaborations led us to our first show garden last year in Chaumont-sur-Loire, France, with the Garden of Doors.
This annual festival attracts more than over 500,000 visitors each year, changing themes throughout the season.
This first project has started a passion. Therefore, we are very thrilled to introduce our concept of the Empathy Park, a garden designed for the Seoul International Garden Show, with this year's exciting theme being Link Garden, Think Life.
We started by considering a city only inhabited by purely functional users, traveling from A to B, linking buildings by means of roads, making the connection of those users easy to read in the urban landscape. However, if we think the life of the city, the types of users multiply. They are not all purely functional or visible. They are not even all human. Some of them do not mind roads or buildings. The strollers, for example, walk or jog around, seeking quietness and nature. The harvesters collect, knowing where to find city fruits and herbs. The pollinators buzz around, searching for flowers. Small critters march in hiding, seeking food and shelter. The birds fly from tree to tree, seeking nesting sites and food. The children run around, searching for playfulness. And the sightseers travel from one interest point to the next. All of it together gives us a trace of the links, which could become a global urban strategy for the city of Seoul. We decided to highlight these links in our plot, bringing up the concept of the Empathy Park, where all those users matter equally.
From this extract of the plan, we define the physical interpretation for each of those users and the way they use the garden. The base is a rock garden, covered with succulents. The strollers can walk through it thanks to a slightly elevated grading path. An orchard guides the harvesters, filled with pears, brambles and strawberries. Framed by a metal mesh, the harvester is protected from the birds. Where it crosses the strollers, a sitting area is developed. Children can jump on the stepping stones, playing hopscotch and running through patches of daisies. An abundance of different species, carefully set in lines, attract all kinds of pollinators, such as bumblebees, butterfly, moths and beetles. Insect hotels have been carefully placed on the intersection with the strollers for the pollinators to nest. Small critters will find a hidden passage under the garden to safely get from one point to the next. Hidden in a line of attractive carnations, special exit points enable the critters to access the orchard. A dense patch of muhly makes for a photogenic selfie point, close to the statue made in honor of Song Jin-jong. Taking advantage of the existing on-site trees, 2 lines of pine trees are introduced to underline the birds' use of the park. In special crossing points, some interactive bird feeders have been placed to create a relationship between strollers and birds.
A complete toolbox has therefore been established. Thanks to these elements, it becomes possible to give the same physical strength to everyone, core concept of the Empathy Park.
Using all these tools, plot number 5 was able to turn from a line diagram into the Empathy Park. The statue of Song Jin-jong creates an interesting point for the sightseers. The bushes and planting around create the starting points for the pollinators and the small critters. The running and walking tracks create connections for the strollers and the children. The connecting shaded pathway bring the harvesters. The existing trees on site create the guidelines for the birds.
The elements of the toolbox stack up following the lines, extracted from the global user analysis. Altogether, they merge and their interaction create the Empathy Park, where everyone can find a physical interpretation of their use of the city. A link garden, thinking life.
Existing trees on site are integrated within the design. A rich palette of flowering plants, each designated to the underlying function of it, are introduced to make the garden interesting all year round. The various colors of these plants make the experience of the visitor even more memorable.
Together with our contractor Timperley Garden, each of the elements such as the bird feeder, insect hotel and orchards have been detailed to create a harmonious, high-quality show garden for the Seoul International Show Garden. We are very proud and excited to be part of this year's festival and are looking forward to the outcome.